Staying with traffic and transporting issues, government could be compelled to implement a plan of action to protect long-distance bus drivers and passengers, especially down in the Eastern Cape. Now, last year, Intercape approached the Grahamstown High Court to force the Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula and the provincial MEC to implement a plan, while the court had granted that order. Mbalula then sought leave to appeal that ruling. His application was dismissed earlier this week. Intercape saying they've been the target of almost 150 incidents. That's including their buses, their drivers, and more worryingly, of course, their passengers. The company also calling for a competent person to be appointed as Transport Minister should, of course, a cabinet reshuffle take place. So there's a lot that Intercape is looking for. Their CEO, Johann Ferreira, joining us now here on eNCA. Johann, good morning. I appreciate your time. First of all, let's talk about why do you think and how disappointed are you that this had to end up in court before a plan was brought forward? I would have thought a Transport Minister would always want safety top of mind, but you had to drag into court to do this.
Yeah, naturally, I'm disappointed. I think the majority of the voting public in South Africa is disappointed. I, like many others, expected him to come to not our rescue. That was never the question. It was come to our help to survive in South Africa, where we and the other long-distance bus operators were under attack by the taxi operators, specifically in the Eastern Cape, for many, many years now, since 2015. And everything came to a head when the violence turned really, really bad in 2019, when they shot one of our drivers outside of our Cape Town depot. And even the blood that was spilled did not start to turn the wheels of government. And we saw that we had no option left than to interdict the Minister of Transport. And yeah, he lost 3 times, hands down, with cost. And that's where we're at.
It does boggle the mind why a minister would fight this once, twice, now then 3 times, and having lost all 3 times. Okay, so now the court has granted the order, Johann. Let's try and move this story forward then. What is this plan? It's a forced plan, but what is the plan to your mind?
Well, the minister, together with the MEC of the Eastern Cape, had to formulate a plan, and it's cooperative government, and it's a policy of the ANC government. And there is where the difficulty was, but we've now overcome that, and they now have to work together. So they've forwarded the plan. It's a very general plan. They've taken the policies and procedures, the standard policies and procedures of the police, and published that. So they will have roadblocks, they will have visible policing, they will put inspectors on the road. But, you know, I believe it's too little, and we as Intercape has forwarded an amended plan which was not accepted. And we will now implement or reinstitute the services of Intercape in the no-go zones on the 15th of this month. This is this coming Sunday. Mm-hmm. And we will monitor the situation. If we see that the police, their presence and their plan is inadequate, we will then go back to court and ask the judge to give a ruling on a more comprehensive plan. Yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah, it almost, you start getting a sense, don't you, Johann, that this plan was put together under duress, and I argue the point and contended by saying that it was 3 court cases, 3 appeals that the minister had lost. So it almost sounds like a plan under duress. So let's hope it doesn't get to that point as well. Should Fikile Mbalula still be the Transport Minister?
No, definitely not. He should have never been the Minister of Transport. You know, there's all sorts of nicknames for him that I've read in social media and also in the press that I don't want to repeat on air here. But, you know, he lived up to that specific nickname of his. So he has single-handedly broken our long-distance bus industry by allowing the taxis to attack us and drive us out of certain areas. He's created fertile ground for this, for his inaction.
How much damage, PR damage, business damage has been caused by this, do you think? Do you think you could ever get back to the numbers that Intercape had before?
You know, Gareth, the sad thing is that South Africans are so desensitized to violence that, yes, there's millions and millions of rands hardware damage, but you can never replace one life. You know, Bankie Khaya died in cold blood, and his murderer has not been brought to justice yet. And I will not stop until justice has been served. So the next minister that will get served is Fikile, together with the National Prosecuting Agency, because they're not doing their work. They've not made a single positive, successful arrest here. And it's now more than 150 cases. You know, it's more towards 190 cases, because in the meantime, there's been other incidences. So, you know, Intercape, I will not stop until government takes responsibility for that what they have created here.
Johann Ferreira, I thank you for your time this morning in joining us, CEO of Intercape. This plan coming into effect, this plan, as I mentioned, seems to be under duress, but there is something of a plan. Is it going to work? Let's certainly hope so, to try and get companies like Intercape back on the road safely with their drivers and their passengers. You can expect us, of course, to be following that very, very closely over the next few days. My thanks to the CEO of Intercape, Johann Ferreira, this morning.